we're going to talk about today is progression. Just kind of like quick things. I think this is mostly things that everyone has already dealt with in the game, pretty much have if you are in Otters, but just kind of like a checklist to make sure that everyone has all the proper stuff in case that they may not. You can kind of like pause the video whenever it's convenient for you and just kind of see like, oh, do I have this already, like included in the set of things that I need to get as strong as possible. Because there's a lot of systems in the game and it can get a little confusing at times. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is levels. So one of the biggest things for me that kept me from doing a lot of the bosses that I wanted was I wasn't 285 yet. A lot of the endgame bosses just require you to be 285 because the boss is either flat 280 and you need the +5 level bonus to get 20% extra final damage, or they're like flat 285, and in order to get like even like base damage, you basically need to be one level off of the boss. So using this chart, we can kind of see like, okay, if you are relatively below the boss's level, you get a huge final damage penalty. This is like the damage that you do minus like 12%. Whereas if you're 5 levels over the boss, you can get a huge damage bonus. This is 20% and makes a huge difference, by the way. 20% is almost like how much you get from G skills. So just keep that in mind. Whenever you're doing bosses, check the level of the bosses and see what your level is in comparison. Also, another thing that a lot of people kind of like think is important, but kind of don't recognize how impactful it is Legion. In one of the first sessions that we did, we talked about how IED is very important to your overall gameplay. A lot of the bosses have either 300 or 380% PDR. That is the amount of percentage damage reduction that they have, and IED basically cancels that out, or like cancels a percentage of that out. So in order to get a lot of sources of IED, one of the biggest sources being Legion, you have to literally just play the game and level up characters. As you can see from like this is my Legion. I've maxed out critical damage, IED buff duration, and boss, and I get these extra bonuses right here. 40% IED, 40% boss, 40% buff duration, and 20% crit, which is pretty huge, but I have almost 10k Legion, so not entirely the best reference, but if you are around 8k or even 6k, you can start maxing out some of the outer section, and at 8k you should be able to max out 3 of the outer sections. So that's enough for crit damage, IED, and boss damage, which are at least 40, 40, and 20. What a lot of people actually don't know is this intersection can actually be swapped. So as you can see, I have my attack and my dex because I'm a dex class. Those legions intersect with the middle path that I'm taking to get from boss damage to buff duration. What you can do if you, say, have 8k legion and you need IED, boss, and crit damage, right, is go straight across like this. And using that straight line, you can add in this stats where your class is most affected. For example, if you're playing a strength class, you would put strength here and attack here, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. But because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks going through the section and 5 blocks going over here, you would want to add your main stats over that section. You just simply click this button, change out the stats. Some people didn't know that. And we have a Legion leveling guide if anyone has any sort of like questions about which Legion pieces to work on first. I also have another page, a slide that we're just going to briefly glance at. But Andre has made a very comprehensive Legion guide, just exclamation resources in any of the channels, and you should be able to access it. So here is a quick snapshot. Just if you want to pause the video, or if you're here live, just kind of like take a screenshot of the things you need. I broke down the level 200 bonuses because this is usually the level that most people stop their characters at, not 250. But if you get 250, you can get some extra bonuses. For example, like Night Lord goes up to 5% crit, Jade goes up to 6% crit damage, etc., etc. But I also highlighted the very important ones for anyone who doesn't have these done. The bolded ones are, in my opinion, the most important ones for you to have done, but these are all like the super important ones that are useful for almost every single class. And remember, all your Legion bonuses stack, so everything in this game is pretty much cumulative. You have like all the Legion pieces all put together for your overall damage, your overall like efficiency in the game, etc., etc. It's all multiplicative. Or no, I should say that. Everything in this game is exponential. A lot of your damage sources will be multiplicative. A new system that's recently come in to play is Legion Artifact. I don't think a lot of people understand this, and quite frankly, it took me a hot second to like fully understand. But you get these little monsters. These are mobs in the game, and as you literally just play the game, do bosses every week, you accrue EXP, you level up, you get more artifact AP to level these monsters up. And essentially, you can assign each of these 3 stats. And the stats vary depending on your class, but here are like the general ones that most people aim for. You assign them 3. It's kind of like a trinode. With the V matrix, you give them 3 stats, and at the level of the monster determines how much strength those individual stats, or how strong those individual stats are. So, for example, because these are the 3 first ones that I put, I would generally put crit damage, boss damage, and damage onto this orange mushroom right here. And then I can do it again, crit damage, boss damage, and regular damage onto the slime. And once I level both of these up to 5, I will get the maximum amount, which is 10, level 10 for crit damage, boss damage, and damage. And generally people would do the same thing when they get to the horny mushroom and the stump, right? They would do just an example, because these are the general stats, but there are more specific ones based on your own classes. They would do all stat, IED, crit, all stat, IED, crit, into these, and they would level them up to 5, and you would get a maximum of 10, all the way down until you hit level, I think it's 70 for path. Artifact EXP, it's pretty self-explanatory. You literally just play the game. You get them from doing quests, you get them from doing jump quests, and there are lots of videos inside of Exclamation Resources to actually show you what the easy artifact missions are. So be sure to reference that if you guys ever need any sort of like quick ways to level up your Legion artifact. I say having about 6 of these is good enough for you to progress late into the game. You do not need all 9. And these need to be reset every month, but literally as long as you log on, there's a mission for logging on 4 times out of the 7 days of the week. You should be able to extend the duration of these stats permanently. But speaking of all these leveling in regards to like your personal level, your Legion artifact, if you guys ever feel like you want to flex, we encourage you to use our Gains and Pains channel. Just a quick reminder. I'm having my 285 party tonight, so tonight I'm going to go to Gains and Pains, post a little picture, say like, well, yeah, I hit 285, and share it with everyone so that other people can see your successes, whatnot. Okay. So let's also talk about link skills. Link skills, pretty much if you're leveling your Legion, you will also be leveling link skills, and vice versa. If you're leveling your link skills, you will be leveling your Legion, because you're increasing the overall average level of your Legion, right? What a lot of people don't know is that there are level 2 links and level 3 links. Some links, in Korea, all links only go up to level 2. When we got a lot of the characters in GMS, we got a level 3 version, for example, for Arc, for Demon, Avenger, but we did not get level 3s for Kana, for Kinesis. Who knows why? It just kind of is. So it's good to know what level 3 links are available, and if it's reasonable for you to farm for those characters. For example, Demon Avenger is a very notoriously difficult character to get up pre-260. So a lot of people will park their Demon Avenger at 210 and use bonk potions to get it, or 200 and use bonk potions to get it 210. So it's a good reference to maybe ask like, hey, what do you guys think of this class? Is it really easy, or is it difficult to level up to 120 versus 210? And decide for yourself, like, am I going to sit through all that? For me, it was a very easy decision. I wanted as much damage as I could for my overall account very quickly, so I just went to 210 for all the level 3 links. But for some people, it's like, I don't want to play any character besides my main. Legion is just kind of like a side project, so I'm going to stop at 120 or 200 and use bonk potions the rest of the way. And another really important thing to talk about is stacking links. Certain links in this game, for example, the Cygnus, Resistance, and Explorer links stack. What that means is, I will use the Cygnus characters. There are 5 main Cygnus classes in Mihail, but Mihail has his own separate link. The Resistance, or the Cygnuses each give up to level 2 of the link at level 120. You need all 5 Cygnuses to get the maximum level for that link. So Cygnus mains will get all 5 of their characters to 210, or 120 at least, to stack those links. Same thing for the Resistances. You will need all 4. This is a very important link that we're going to talk about in a second. And the Explorers, you need the Explorer Magicians and the Explorer Thieves. So at least level 120 for all of these. In terms of general damage links, again, this is just a quick checklist to make sure that you do have all your sources of damage that are very important. If you can get the level 3 Arc or level 2, still works fine. Level 3 Demon Avenger. Both of these give damage, very important. Kana, it's a very quick link to get, 10% damage at 120. And Kinesis, this is 4% crit damage. Ilium is one of those, like, you will need it for training, assuming that you are moving around very often, and for classes that move a lot, for example, like Blaster, Cadena, Kali, Battle Mage. Ilium is very useful for them. And also Phantom. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important links to have very early on, because your sources of crit for a lot of classes is like that and the Explorer links. You will not have other sources of crit. So you want to get 100% crit as fast as possible, get the Phantom link. But later in the game, when you have a lot of sources from, say, Legion and Legion Artifact, you will not need this as much. Here's some training links that are really important. I'm going to gloss over these, but I think the 2 most important ones are Evan and Mercedes. These make you go super fast. I didn't realize how good Evan Link was, level 3, until I got it for the first time. I was playing the game for at least a year and didn't have a level 10, a 210 Evan, and that was a big, big mistake, because it basically almost doubled the duration of my rune to like almost 5 minutes, so make sure you get that, like ASAP. And Mercedes is just like a general good one, 20% EXP is nothing to scoff at. Aaron, Hoyoung you get extra damage for any mobs that are at full HP. Lara just gives a little more damage for 30 seconds, and Kali is flat damage. And finally, we have some bossing links. This is a very good reference page for anyone who is finishing up their links and pushing mid-game, late-game bosses, because you 100% will need all of these. Minus maybe is situationally like Cadena and Adele. AB link, possibly the most important link for burst. It gives you a buff for 10 seconds. That gives you 120% damage. Huge, huge if you're doing a quick burst. Resistance link, like I talked about, is one of those stacking links that goes up to level 8. You will need all 4 characters of the resistance at 120. It gives you 8 additional seconds. Two extra seconds for each of the characters, by the way. For extra invincibility. Lin gives some boss, crit, and HPMP. The Explorer Magician has a strange interaction. That's why I put them stacked like this. They have a very strange interaction with the Explorer Thieves, and most of the time, these level 6, and level 6, that means 3 Magicians and 3 Thieves will be leveled simultaneously, because the Thief gives you a debuff, and the Magician gives you a debuff, and the Thief, for any character that is debuffed, gives you extra damage. So essentially for classes that don't have, say, any sort of active debuffs to the boss, these will always proc together. So you will always get the bonuses of them at the same time. Luminous, depending on your class, if you have IED, is a very good one. Most classes will always use at least a Luminous link to get the 20% extra IED. And we will talk more about how IED stacks on Thursday and whatnot, but IED is a very confusing stat for a lot of people. That's why I say IED is a very important stat. You want as many passive sources as you can, for example, in Legion, for example, in Link, so that you don't have to worry about active sources of IED or getting extra lines in your WSE, whatever have you. Cadena, for you get flat damage for any mobs that are lower level, and 6% for any debuffed mobs, so it stacks with these two, and a Dowling, for if you have a party of 6, it technically outweighs some of the damage from, say, Common Link. But if you're soloing, it's technically worse. Just glossing over V Matrix, I'm pretty sure everyone who's in Otters is already, like, touched V Matrix and has at least a loose understanding of it. But for any sort of mules, or even your main, some people don't know that you can actually get your nodes up to level 30. So as you can see, I have a level 25 tri-node here and a level 25 tri-node here. But if I hit the slot enhancement button, I can level these up, and I get slot enhancement SP every level that I gain. And you can max like a ton of them. But essentially I can max this out to level 5 for each of these individual slots. So the 25 plus 5, that's going to be a level 30 node. And again, over here, level 30 node. So this tri-node will technically be level 60. You can consult your class Discord for the best trios and skills. Some skills can be left at level 1, and this is especially useful if you're working on, say, boss mules or something. Level 1 of, oh gosh, what is that thief skill? What's that thief skill that does extra damage? For
Last Resort.
Last Resort, yeah. Last Resort can be left at level 1 because it is only an attack increase after the base level, and it's a passive attack increase. It's not a active. You get more final damage for in the duration in the buff window of Last Resort. So that can be left at level 1 for boss mules. But other skills like, say, Pirate's Overdrive, that needs to be maxed instantly because it is very good at level 30, whereas it's like middling at best for level 1. And if you're scrapped for nodes, here's another really good option that people really don't talk about. It does take an extra slot, but say you have a trio like this at level 20, you can have 3 of those instead. So this trio I have at level 20, this trio I have at level 20, and this trio, imagine there's another trio right there at level 20. That will put me at level, the trio itself will be level 15, and I will have a level 5 slot enhancement. That'll put you at level 60 instead of having 2 by 25, which costs a lot more nodes to put into them. And finally, we can talk about some decents. Here's a trick that I learned about relatively recently, and I've been playing this game for a long time. We already know that most decents are not super great to level. The only reason you would ever be maxing one out is to optimize the amount of HP that you take. For those of you who don't know, usually it costs a certain amount of HP to actually use the decents, but if you max them out, it costs less HP, which means you're taking less residual damage every time your pets auto-buff you. So having them at level 1 is technically worse, but not by a lot. But here's the trick that I learned about. At level 26 is the max level that you can get additional passive stats for. What I'm talking about is, I'll use Sharp Eyes as an example. It gives you a passive amount of either all stat or attack. It gives you up to 6 all stat at level 26. And it's 1 all stat at level 21. So what a lot of people do is, instead of maxing out and putting it in a slot that has 5 slot enhancements, they will only put 1 slot enhancement, level 1, on the slot enhancement right here, and put in a level 25 decent Sharp Eyes. So it puts the whole skill at level 26. You get the max amount of the additional passive all stat, but you don't have to waste the slot enhancement levels. So you can do this as level 1, this is level 1, the next one is level 1, how many ever decents you have, all the way up to level 1, get them to level 26, and you still have a lot of slot enhancement SP left over for other skills. Just a small tip, small bit of optimization does not really matter long term. And finally, new system. This has only been around for a little under a year at this point. The hexamatrix, what a lot of people are doing right now is they're starting to work out, especially in Otters, starting to work on their 6-job skills. So we cannot give you the answers all the time for what the best route is to optimize your hexastat. You have, or your hexamatrix, you have to consult your class Discord. We have a list of all the class Discords in exclamation resources. Just use that link for pretty much any questions that you have. And what you'll find in a lot of these Discords is they will post what is called an efficiency chart. What this essentially is the comparison of how many fragments it costs to how much final damage that you will gain overall from a 1-level upgrade of X skill. So for example, I'm a Corsair player, so I have my recent Hexa skill masteries are Rapid Fire and do not play my classes, by the way, they're pretty awful for Hexa. Rapid Fire and my ships. Usually the charts tell me to optimize my masteries first because they give a lot more final damage for each of those individual levels between Rapid Fire and the ships compared to, say, my 5th job skills like Bullet Barrage and Nautilus Assault. Because the ratio between the fragment cost and the damage is much higher from the Rapid Fire and ships versus the 5th job skills. So it's very important for you to see exactly what your own class is and how much damage you get from each amount of the fragments that you put in. Speaking of fragments, this is a very confusing thing because a lot of people don't exactly understand what hexa stats are, but it's essentially a system that gives you a ton of additional stats. As you can see here, these are my hexas. These are my own character's hexas on my Corsair and my Marksman. They're both maxed, by the way, so they're all level 20. The first thing I should kind of preface is that this main stat right here, I put dex on this one and boss damage on this one, and I'll explain exactly why I did that, gives you the strongest benefit. So we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty, it's a lot of math. But essentially at certain thresholds, it gives you either 2 times, or it's like 3 times, X multiplicative amount of times the base amount that you would usually get. So I think at level 6, I get like 2 times the amount of dex you usually get. So instead of 400 for level 6, I would get like 800, right? But with that, it also determines how much fragments it would cost. So each level that I put into Hexastat costs X amount of fragments, starting at like 10 fragments. If I were to level my main stat up to level 1, 2, 3, 4, it would continue costing more each time if it randomly rolls onto main stat, whereas it would cost exactly the same as in what it costed prior if it landed into the additional stat slots. So again, this main stat determines how much fragments it costs to actually roll each additional time. But it is also, as you can see, like right here, the lowest chance to tier up. These will also, you get more stats from rolling any of these additional levels on here. It will cost more when you get more levels, but it is also the lowest chance to get additional main stat levels. So with that, that's to say that you will get somewhere between like 2, sometimes up to 4 if you have a super optimized main stat, percent final damage from your hexastat. It costs a lot if your main stat goes higher level, but you will gain more benefit from, say, getting a level 8 or a level 9 main stat compared to a level 8 or level 9 attack power. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you input your main, your 3 stats in here, you can spend 100 mil to actually swap your stats around. That's why it looks different from I have dex, crit damage, and attack, and boss damage, attack, and dex. Because I am gaining the most, for example, out of this Corsair picture, I'm gaining the most out of both attack power and dex. These are equal, by the way. And in here, I'm getting the most out of attack power because it's level 9. You need to consult your class Discord to actually know what exactly your best stats are, but in general, Most classes, excluding archers, by the way, use attack power as their primary strongest stat, their main stat as their secondary strongest stat, and then crit damage is the third one. Archers, instead of crit damage, because they already have a lot of crit damage, so they want boss damage instead. But yeah, other than that, does anyone have any questions? I know I glanced over a lot of it, but this is more of a checklist to make sure that everyone has their ducks in a row rather than a comprehensive guide on everything, because all of these damage sources, from your own levels to links to Hexa, are all stacking and very important. Feel free to chime in and or just type in VC text if you have any questions. Okay. Oh, I see someone typing. And by the way, if you have any questions about your own specific stats, for example, how to optimize your Hexa stat, how to, this is all RNG, but more so like where to slot stuff in, what to put into Legion artifact, what to do for Legion, please consult not only your class Discord, but ask us in Maple questions about your specific situation. Sometimes there are answers that are specifically curtailed to your account that we have to like see what you've been working on for us to actually tell you, okay, this is good. This is only general advice for most characters. So I got a question. So resetting would eliminate progress entirely from the beginning. I came in late. Yes. So if, say, I get my hex set to level 20, right? If I hit the reset button, I would get everything taken away and it would be at level 0 again. Yeah. Do not, I don't recommend anyone, we are getting the second Hexastat core pretty soon. So please reset after we get the second one in the, you know, like in the chance that you can just kind of roll back and forth. I cannot decide if I need crit, damage, or boss. Okay, so good question. Since you're an AB, you do have high crit damage, so what I'm going to likely assume is these are going to be your 3 main stats right here. I'll kind of like go over the order again. Attack power would be your primary one. Your main stat would be the second one, and boss would be the third one. But remember, you can swap these around. So if you currently, say, have like crit damage instead of boss on here, you can pay 100 mil and literally just change it to crit, from crit damage to boss damage. But I would not recommend doing that until you actually finish your Hexastat all the way up to level 20, so you know exactly which ones are going to be the highest level, so that you're not wasting like 100 mil now and then another 100 mil later on. Some class discords have specifics for the Hexastat and min-max rolls. The min-max rolls are not needed until your main FD gains are from your other Hexa skills. Agreed. For a lot of people, they will not actually re-roll their Hexastats until they're like, what, like 18k frags in? It's very minimal gains at that point because you've gotten most of your Hexa pretty much already done. And again, this is 2 to 4% final damage. You're not getting that much out of it, but it's a nice upgrade, especially early on, because the overall cost, I think most people say it's somewhere between like 250 to 300 on average, depending on how expensive or not expensive your main stat is. 300 frags, that for some skills, that's just one level. Okay. But I'm going to keep going, but feel free to keep chatting about this if you guys have any questions or want to answer anyone else's questions in VC text. Shameless plug, but I am having my 285 party tonight. You have all this time in finishing school to get a costume ready. I'm going to be in this map right here. It's called Weird Room. You can teleport to me. I'm there in game right now, but I'm going to go help Andre with BM in a second. So I may be gone, but if you type, if you double click on the teleport rock, there's a little option for you to type a character's name. Just type Huish, my character's IGN in channel 5, and just move there. I will be there at +2 to hit 285. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Andre to start some VM teaching. Hoping everyone
Hello.
got their keys last week from Vihila.
I'm just sharing my screen. Can you all see my presentation? I feel like my connection is kind of lagging. I'm not sure what's going on.
I can see it, and you sound fine for now.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. If I start lagging, please let me know.
Yep, I got it.
So let's talk about Black Mage. So Black Mage is a major threshold boss because from the high amount of mechanics, uh, it gives you the most wanted weapon in the game, the Genesis weapon, and generally is a hard fight because it has 4 phases, and each phases plays differently from each other. So we have to learn 4 different fights, and it's generally hard because there's a lot of things going on your screen. So today we're going to cover phase 1 and phase 2 and practice, and then on Thursday we're going to cover phases 3 and 4. So Black Mage is a fight that a lot of things are going to happen. So I can teach these things theoretically a lot of times, but if you don't play, you don't practice, it's not going to sink in. You need to play, you need to practice, you need to see this for yourself. Because seeing a print screen or animated GIF on PowerPoint is not going to teach this boss correctly. It's different from our other bosses. So I aimed for general explanation for how these things works and general strategy for playing this boss, but we need to practice. So this practice session is going to be longer, and that's why we split Black Mage into 2 days. Before we start, remember to assign your role so you can get pinged for Black Mage practices and other bosses. Also, remember to use the bossing channel to grab buffs. And let's get this roast cooking. So, the first phase of Black Mage are the Knights. But before we start the Knights, we need to talk about the. Oh, why you gotta be black? So, before we start Knights, we gotta talk about what you need to play this phase and what you need to understand the whole fight. So you need at least 100 BPS, which is the minimum to make the fight. Each boss has a different HP, so each one requires a different damage threshold. Or since we're talking about P1 and P2, today I'm going to talk about their HPs. Arcane Force, you need at least 1320 Arcane Force to deal the full damage. Also, Black Mage is a monthly fight, so you can clear once a month. And then for the Liberation quest, we're going to talk about later, you need to kill Black Mage 8 times, so it takes at least 8 months. Each time you try to enter the Black Mage at the real fight, you need a Fragment of Destiny, which you need to craft by using the sparkles that you get from dailies and from killing Gloom and Dark Now. And also from the Shadow of Annihilation that you get from killing Vihila. So each entry consumes a key, and each key costs 1 Shadow of Annihilation and 50 Sparkles of Determination. So let's talk about the curse system. This is a system that's going to permeate the whole fight from phase 1 to phase 4, and it's a major system because it's going to make the way you interact with the boss differently depending on each situation. So first things first, we have this here. this bar right here, the circle with these small spaces here, are your lives. You start with 12 lives, and then each time you have a HP death, you lose one life. You can lose lives in other ways, which are the curse systems. So each attack of the Black Mage in each of the phases is designed to a special color or a special curse. Some attacks they are going to leave you in a black curse, shown here on the left, or a white curse, never both. So if you have both, each curse is going to have effect on you. So the black curse is going to block your potions. They expire after 5 seconds when you get them. And then for these 5 seconds, you are with potions blocked. And then you deal more damage and you take more damage. So this is a fighting curse. And the white curse also curses you for 5 seconds. And then during this time, you are going to explode, dealing damage around you, and then you are going to recover some HP each second. Also, you deal less damage, so this is a tanking curse. Uh, when you have the curses interacting with each other, so if you already have a black curse on you because you got hit by a black design curse attack, and then you get hit again by a black curse, is just going to refresh the duration. The same goes for the white curse. But when you have a white curse or a black curse and you get hit by the opposite color curse, you are going to get cursed with a death on this wheel right here. You lose a life and then you get silenced for 5 seconds. So these statuses they are non-cleansable, so you can get rid of them, but you can prevent you being cursed with the wheel skills. Remember, the wheel skills they are going to remove your debuffs on you and then prevent you from getting debuffed again for the next 3 seconds. Wheel skills are not going to remove a curse you already have, but it can prevent you from getting curses for 3 seconds. So wheel skills are going to be a major cooldown that you have to manage in the Black Mage fight. So it's highly recommended that you have them on easy to press key, because you have both wheels from the fourth job and the fifth job, and their cooldowns are a major bottleneck for how you play certain situations and patterns. So I'm going to talk about which curse each attack is going to inflict on you. There are a lot of attacks, but generally they are color coded. So white attacks are going to inflict you with white curse, and black attacks are going to inflict you with black curse. It takes a while to learn everything, but just from the visuals of the fight, you can prevent certain curses if you already have one. One major thing for when you are starting Black Mage is that you forget you are cursed. So sometimes you tank attacks because they're not going to kill you, but you lose a life because you are cursed already, and you get the opposite curse. So for the phase 1, we have the Knights. The Knights, if you play the lore, they are the Canadian and the Aenion, I don't know how to pronounce this, ruins. They are there to guard the Black Mage and to um, annoy you, basically. So these knights are going to, all of their attacks are going to apply their curses respectively, but the Black Mage itself can cast both white and black curses in attacks. So let's talk about their patterns first. We start at the middle of the arena when we enter the Black Mage, phase 1, and then they are going to spawn on the right and left of you. Their attacks are Tease Chain Sweep, which are going to inflict you with Curse. Deals a lot. I think it's 15% HP. Remember, they don't attack simultaneously. They are attacking each on their own cooldowns and during their own animations. So you can get hit by one chain sweep for the White Knight, for instance, and then the Black Knight does another attack. So, another thing I forgot to mention. These knights, they have shared HP. You have to damage both of them to clear the bar, and they both die at the same time. You can't like kill the White Knight and then kill the Black Knight after. They die at the same time, and they share the HP bar. But since there are two targets, you can deal double damage in this phase. So this is the chain sweep, and this is the rush. This attack right here, they go very far when they cast this animation. It's recommended to stay away from them, and sometimes you can jump above this attack to avoid getting hit by the swords. You can float above them to avoid getting hit. So remember, they're going to be casting these attacks all around, dashing and teleporting and jumping. This seems easy just watching a GIF, but phase 1 is, in my opinion, the hardest part of Black Mage. This is the dive. So they are going to teleport either on top of you or on top of the other knight, and then they're going to drop down. This is a one-hit KO. It's going to take a life and curse you, so you can potentially lose 2 lives for this attack. It's very telegraphed, so it's fairly easy to dodge, but it's not something you have to worry about too much. But if you get hit by some reason, you are going to die. So it's better to iframe if you can. So these are the attacks that the knights do, but the maps are also going to be casting some attacks. So for P1, we have these lightning walls. These red lightnings are going to be cast around the map, and they do touch damage that will instantly kill you, or 19% HP depending on difficulty. They are very annoying to deal with because they limit your movement in the map. So if you are stuck between two lightnings, you either can teleport between them, and if you don't have a teleport, you are stuck here with the knights going around and casting attacks non-stop. So they're going to be constantly cast after a certain time and after a certain delay. And when they are cast, this message will appear on the message box, and then the lightning appears for some time. Also, another major mechanic are the chains. So the knights are going to cast these chains right here that they follow you, and after a certain they will cast this line here, and then after a few moments, this chain is going to hit your character, so you can move around. It targets where you are, but you can move around to places where you weren't before to avoid the chain. It's one chain per attack. I'm showing 3 here, but after a while, another chain is going to strike. This attack has a random cooldown, so you can get a set of chains, like 3 chains in a row, and then you get 7 chains in a row. Or sometimes he can cast 2 waves of chains at the same time, or even 3 waves of chains. Each chain is going to apply and refresh the Black Curse, so it's probably the major source of Black Curses in this fight, because it's constantly, sometimes it's hard to avoid, and they deal 15% HP damage, but it stacks up quickly because they are non-stop. They are going to be hitting you every time during the fight. So it's better to learn how to avoid these chains while attacking. For teleport classes, you can cast the P to dodge the chains while attacking, and for flash jump classes, you can attack in there while you are moving. So this means basically most of the time in this fight you are going to be Black Cursed, so your potions are blocked. These chains are also going to be to cast in P2. So for P2, we are going to talk about later, but a lot of things are going to be going on. More sources of white curses. Also, for P1, we have the Shrieking Walls. these walls right here, they are going to appear on both sides of the maps, and they are going to, after a message, and they are permanent. So they're going to block both sides and reduce the size of the arena. So after a while, they are going to block most part of the map, and they are going to be stuck in a very minimal place with the knights. Also, these after casting the walls, the knights are going to gain a HP shield that covers the whole bar, and you have to take down the HP shield for um, to be able to damage them again. This white shield here is going to be a major mechanic on the Black Mage because it occurs on all 4 phases, and the trigger condition for each phase is different. For P1, they are cast after the Shrieking Walls appear, and for P2, P3, and P4 after the FMAs that we're going to talk about later. So also we have the waves of white meteors that they are going to be cast either from left or from the right and then fall in this pattern shown right here. So it's hard to show this in a GIF, but they start falling from the edge of the map and then they are going to be falling in this pattern to the other side of the map. They inflict white curse and they are periodic. So they have a certain time before they fall again. So these white meteors here, we normally call them white because they inflict white curses. They are designed to limit your movement. So a lot of things in the Black Mage fight. Right here in this gift, this person is getting white chains and gets the black curse. If she's getting hit, if she gets hit by the white meteor, it's going to lose a life from the curses and get the 5 seconds skill ceiling. So these are the attacks that you have to worry about. A lot of different attacks that have different curses and how to interact with each other. So it takes practice for you to know which attack you can tank and which you cannot in certain situations. And the general strategy to avoid to fight the P1 is to avoid it completely. So since we are dealing double damage because we can damage both knights at the same time, the general strategy is to skip this phase completely using a huge burst of damage. So when we enter the fight, we're going to start right here in the middle, in this one square box here, and the knights, they take a while to move. So during this time, most of the parties, except one person, are going to move to this spot right here on the right side and wait. The person that got left behind is going to bind the knights when they are together. So there are 2 major strategies for binding the knights. The first one is starting with a regular bind followed by origin bind. So generally, the person that stays here needs to attack the Black Knight. So it aggroes on this person, and then you wait for you need to lure the Black Knight on top of the White Knight, or wait for one to jump on top of each other, and then you cast bind and bind both at the same time. So this is harder to execute a strategy because you can get cursed in the meanwhile. So people that are experienced doing this, they generally attack the Black Knight, and then jump and float and wait for them to align. Also, you need to use will skills here to avoid getting cursed. So it's a cooldown you are going to have missing for the later part of the fight on P2. Another strategy, it's the origin bind, opening with origin, is that if no one aggroes the knights for a while, one of the knights are going to start with a jump and jump on top of each other. It's random, so sometimes the white knight jumps on the black knight, or the black knight jumps on top of the white knight. So everyone stays still here, and then someone casts the origin when the knight starts to jump, and then when it lands, they are both going to be bound. Uh, generally, the person who is going to bind is the person who has um, uh, a front-loaded origin that can do a lot of damage to get as quickly as possible out of the P1, and also a long bind, which most binds are 10 seconds, but some binds they last longer, like Kana or Nightwalker or Ice Lightning Mage. So for this strategy to work, you have to remember that each bind has a separated cooldown, and P1 is the only phase that you can use your regular bind. For the P2 forward, we can't use the regular bind, only the origin bind. So basically, we get them together, bind them, and burst them before they can attack us. Or we have to, if we let them free, they are going to curse us non-stop. We're going to lose a lot of lives. And then we have to deal with wall mechanics, which is very hard to do. And one of the main reasons soloing Black Mage is a skill check. Because you have to play this phase. You can just skip it straight up. Some people can skip it, but you need to be very strong to do this. Here. So, any questions on P1 before we start P2? I heard someone saying something. Any comments on P1? Any questions? Nope. Yes. So let's move on to P2 then. So, Black Mage P2 is a stationary fight that happens in cycles. So the boss, the Black Mage, is going to be standing on the middle of the map. He doesn't move, and he only casts his attacks. Each attack is going to have a telegraphed motion of him, usually using his hands. So at least they all looked at the beginning. They all looked very similar to each other, but with time you can start noticing patterns. Which hand is he raising and which color he's going to cast the attack to prevent the spells that he's going to unleash. So let's see some of the animations. So here, these up here. So this is the animation when he's going to cast the chains. Remember that chains are instants, so each person is going to have their own set of chains to fight in their own screens. So you don't have to worry about the chains that are hitting other people. It's like Lucid's laser in Lucid P2. So when Black Mage raises his right hand with the red color, he's going to cast the chains right here. This is the only attack that has no cooldown, so he can cast multiple waves of chains on top of you. And the chains, each chain doesn't deal much damage, but they stack quickly, especially if there are multiple waves of chains. And they are Black Curse. And since you are going to be dodging or getting hit by the chains, basically during the whole fight, you can expect to be in Black Curse most of the time. So plan accordingly with if you're going to use your potions, and this is the reason too why the classes that can heal, like Bishop or Kona, are so valuable in this fight because they can heal you through the Black Curse and avoid a lot of patterns that normally are hard to deal with. So when the left hand is raised, we are going to get the blind. So this blind is very annoying. It lasts 5 seconds and can be cleansed by Bishop. So you can't see anything. Most of the things that are going to on your screen. And this attack is the reason why comms are so important in this fight, because you need to constantly be calling out attacks, because someone can be blinded and can't see the indicators for the attacks. So if you are blinded and someone calls the attack, you can dodge it. And even if you are not blinded, you need to be calling out the attacks so other people can dodge. At least have the indicator that some attacks going on. So you need to create a habit when practicing this boss to in seeing chains or spikes or meteors or whites. You need to be calling out every single attack. These are the spikes. So this indicator here is going to appear on the ground, and then it's going to shoot up this um, huge spear right here. It deals 90% of the HP and inflicts you with Black Curse. So they don't appear synchronized. They can appear each at their own time, and they spawn all over the map except for the left and the right corners, which are safe spots from the spikes. So basically, if this spike on the middle appears first, then you can compare it to the right. You can stay on the right spot until the spike on the center goes up, and then you can jump or teleport from the right spot to the center spot to avoid the second spike. So you have to manage well your space because these spikes deal a lot of damage, and you are probably going to be chipped. Your HP is probably going to be chipped from the chains, and these spikes are generally most of the time they are going to kill you. Also, Black Curse, if they hit you, you can heal afterwards. So you are left with at least 5 seconds with 10% HP, which means another chain attack is going to kill you, even if you tank it. So some attacks are going to happen in cycles, which are the Piercing Gaze and the Rollings Whites, and then the FMA. So this fight is like a clock. You're going to experience some attacks in the same order and as mostly the same time between each other. So this is the Piercing Gaze. Black Mage is going to cast 2 of these balls. They have a very large hitbox, and they hit you for I think it's 10% HP every .3 seconds. So if you stand on top of them, they're going to eat your HP very quickly, and then they are very slow in the map, and then they keep bouncing in the walls on the ground, and then going around. It's a very random attack, randomized. So sometimes it can screw you over, and sometimes it's not even going to hit you. And since they add the Black Curse, be careful because you can't heal later. So generally, during this clock I mentioned, the Piercing Gaze is the first of the 4 attacks he's going to cast. So when he casts Piercing Gaze, you can expect in sequence the next 2 attacks. First are going to be the Rollings or the Whites, or sometimes the Whites comes first and then the Rollings. So the Rollings are these diagonal meteors here on the left. They are going to fall all over the map, and then when they hit the ground, they will start rolling and walking on the ground until they reach the edge of the map. On phase 2, they are always going to roll to the right, and they always fall to the left. So it's a pattern. They don't do it randomly. So basically, when these rollings these meteors start to fall, we call rollings, and then everyone needs to prepare to dodge because they deal a lot of damage and they apply the white curse. Remember that while this pattern is going on, the Piercing Gaze is also bouncing around, and then you have chains attacking you. So the chance of you getting cursed is very high. Remember to use your will skills to avoid getting cursed, but remember that the meteors, they also deal a lot of damage, so you can die from HP death even if you don't die from a curse. Some iframes, they ignore completely this mech, so if you are invulnerable, you can dodge this mechanic, but if you still need to get hit, it's like a damage reduction, you are still going to get cursed. So like ethereal form from the mages, it still gets you cursed, but in a full invulnerabilities, they can avoid the curses as well. So plan your will skills cooldown and your iframes cooldowns, because some patterns, the order they and the timing they happen are very hard to dodge. So at the same time, the whites are going to be falling. So remember, you have to dodge the whites, meteors that happen in the diagonal in sequence, and then the rollings that are going to on the ground, and then the piercing gaze that's bouncing around, and the chains, and sometimes the spikes. So it's a lot of things going on. So generally, to avoid this pattern, we need to go to the right corner, since the meteors are going to fall to the left. So they fall to the left and they start rolling to the right corner of the map. So generally, since you have a safe spot from the spikes on the right corner, is generally where people go to dodge this pattern when the whites and rollings are falling at the same time. So the strategy here is to go to the safe spot and then jump and then float, so you only get hit by the chain attacks. So the rollings pass just below you, and then you are safe from the rollings. Depending on uh, the pattern with the white meteors, it's also you can't stay in there, but sometimes you can if they start from the right. Or I see a lot of people dying to the damage the chains deal during this time. The chains stack very quickly, and there's a lot of things going on. You have to pay attention to so many things on your screen. But my general tip for this, to avoid this pattern is when you are floating right here, where my cursor is, you have to make sure you are falling slowly uh, downwards, because the chains are going to target where you are in that moment, and then after a while they are going to hit that point. If you move during this time, you are safe from the chains. But if you are floating, standing still, you are going to be getting hit by a lot of chains, and then with the black curse, a lot of things going on. You can't use potions. You can die in ways that you could prevent by floating downwards or to the left. So there are a lot of variations during this pattern. Sometimes it's very easy to dodge. Sometimes it's very hard to dodge. You have to rely on iframes, but you have to be prepared. When you see the piercing gaze, you need to prepare your iframes. You need to consider your will skills. You have to know your cooldowns so you can deal with this uh, flurry of attacks that happens every cycle. So I talked about the clock, and then we are in the middle of the clock. So after around 30 seconds, Black Mage is going to cast the Piercing Gaze, and then the Rollings and the Whites. And then when a full minute hits, we are going to have the FMA, the full map attack. So this is a very telegraphed attack, but it's very deadly. It's one hit KO. You can't tank it, and it covers the whole map except for a certain spot. And the spot that is going to be safe from this attack, Black Mage is going to tell us through this animation here. If he hazes only this his hand, right hand on the with the red animation, and then the far left is the safe spot. If he hazes only his left hand with the purple animation, and then the right spot, right corner is the safe spot. And if he hazes both hands, only the center is going to be the safe spot, just beneath him. And then he casts his attacks at his animation here. He's going to warn you where the safe spot is, and then after a while, you have to watch the movement of his hands, and then after a while, this animation here from FMA is going to play flashbang alert. this animation right here. So this one in particular is a middle safe spot. So the lasers are going to hit the whole map except for the middle where the Black Mage is. You have to stand just below him. So remember that you have a little time before these lasers come up. And when the lasers are finished, Black Mage is going to gain a white HP shield for the cycle, and then the cycle restarts. Each cycle takes 1 minute except for the first one, because the first one happens, the FMA happens after 1 minute and 10 seconds, and afterwards, every FMA is going to be 1 minute after the previous one. So you start counting 60 seconds for when the HP turns white. It's the time the next FMA is going to happen. So you have to be managing this clock-like fight, because if you know the patterns, you can prevent what he's going to do next before he does it. So it's safer to navigate the fight and avoid losing lives. Remember that you have 12 lives for 4 phases, so not dying on the first and second phase leaves you more lives, especially for third phase, which we're going to cover on Thursday, which is a fairly difficult phase. So learn well this phase, so you phase 2 and phase 1, so you can have a lot of lives for phase 3. So this is Black Mage. Let's practice. If you has any questions or any comments or want to chime in, piercing gaze. Oh,
Yeah. I think one thing we forgot to cover was, would you like to talk about how we deal with like fams and summons and auras in P1 before we go in and after?
oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Let me go back here. Here. Yeah, I just skipped over this. I was going to talk about in this slide here, but I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. So when you enter Black Mage, you want to only the person that's going to bind to have aggro. So other people that are going to the right corner of the map to wait until the knights are bound. They need to turn off their summons on their familiars, because they are going to attack the knights and they're going to draw aggro. So the knights are going to likely to go to the right with the people that is standing here using their pre-buffs. And you don't want that. You want them to stay together at the middle so you can bind them and get out of P1 ASAP. So enter the fight with everything turned off that can damage the knights, and then you can just walk through them. They are not going to target you if you don't attack them. Let the person in the middle, responsible for the bind, to draw aggro from the Black Knight, and then this person can bind, and everyone just stays here waiting. This person, the binder, will come saying, it's bound, you can come. And then everyone was here can summon their FAMs and their class summons back that they are pre-buffing, and then we go to the knights that are bound and burst them. Does that answer? Or I forgot to talk about binding sequence. Sorry. Thank you. Any questions? Comments?
We got a question from in-game chat. Do we need a key for practice? No, you do not need a key for practice, so don't worry about crafting one. This practice mode is not going to consume anything.
I think we can go practice right now then. I'm going to switch my stream to MapleStory. Here. Here. So we are going to show you a demo for phase 1 and phase 2. I'm going to be at the design inviter. Let me invite everyone.
Yes, for anyone who wants practice, please come to channel 5 of the Black Mage door.
Yep.
I remember when Andre said about any sort of summons or auras or familiars especially. Um, I've been told that they fixed it, that familiar is no longer aggro, but I don't believe it, so just turn them off just in case.
Yeah.
The only things you should have set are your practice mode buffs and any sort of like long buffs like infinity or voids.
Yeah. So when everyone is ready, please come to the right of the portal. I am going to use Origin Bind so we can. Should we show the phase 1 attacks or we can focus on P2?
Realistically, no one will be dealing with P1 unless you want to solo. If you ever do want any sort of practice for solo, let me know and I can take you into P1 to show you what it's about. But otherwise, I think we can just blast through it. There's no point.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to show first the Origin Bind. So everyone just don't have your thumbs up and stay still in the middle. When the one of the knights jump, I'm going to cast my Origin and they are going to both be bound. All right. Everyone ready?
Oh, if we're doing Origin Bind, I can turn on my summons.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Turn on your fans and summons.
Yeah. For Origin Bind, you don't need to have your summons on Fems turned off. So let me just change my Fems here. Here. So let's go. Entering practice mode in 3, 2, 1. So it's going to play this cutscene right here, where Kermit is secretly below the Black Mage clothing. So when the knight jumps, I cast my Origin right here. Oh, I think I lagged a bit. Yeah, I didn't bind them correctly because I lagged a bit. Blaming the lag. So we're going to have to finish them off here.
Can we recognize?
And then I bind it. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
They are bound here. I missed my bind. If you miss the bind on P1, it's probably hard to come back if they are bound separately. But if you can just use your damage to get rid of your HP ASAP, then we can skip the phase 2. So yeah, we entered, then we typed on the chat that the next FMA is going to happen at 05. So when the timer here gets near, we need to prepare to be prepared to pay attention to the Black Mage, what he's doing. So here I am just dodging spikes and dodging the chains. The first attack just came up, the Piercing Gaze, and which means soon the whites and rollings are going to start. Here are your whites, and the rollings are probably going to fall soon. So they are going to fall on. So there are multiple wave chains here on me. So these are the rollings, and then you can jump over them while they roll, or teleport classes can teleport through them or jump through them.
Right after.
So yeah, we need to go to the right because the Black Mage casts his hand with the purple to the right. So after this, his HP just turned white. So it XX 50. And then the next FMA is going to be XX50. So here I couldn't use potions because the Black Curse blocked me, so I died HP death. I'm gonna die first death, so you can see how it looks like. So here I'm going to touch the meteors. I have the Black Curse here, and then I'm going to touch the white meteor. So this UI is going to play. I lost a life to a curse and then got cursed, so I can use skills for 5 seconds. So FMA is 50, and then we have 15 seconds until FMA. So we need to start paying attention to his hands. So
Left.
here, left,
Left FMA.
left. And the next FMA is after this laser is over and his HP turns white.
42.
So it's 42. Yeah. Since he cast the piercing gaze before the FMA, the whites and rollings, they whites are probably going to be back soon, but the rollings they need to restart the count for the next cycle. So here they are. They will not fall instantly. So here is the strategy I talked about. You go to the right and float to avoid, and then chains are going to start hitting you, and you start losing a lot of HP. Oh, yeah, here I got hit by a spike and died HP dead. You can use iframes to dodge this pattern, but what I want to show is that on the left corner we have safe spot. So yeah, let's
Right FMA.
go
Right FMA.
right.
Walk through these. Careful.
Right. So HP turns white. It's 30. The next FMA. So I have to break the shield now and start damaging the Black Mage. So I'm blinded. I couldn't see the spikes being cast on top of me. So in a real run, everyone's going to be calling the attacks. So I have white curses, so I have to dodge all the chains, otherwise I'm having a curse death. Yeah, right here. The piercing gaze, the whites. So this time the whites came after the rollings. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I tried to go to the safe spot, but I couldn't. Didn't reach. So for the next FMA, we have 10 seconds. So we have to start paying attention to his hands. The piercing gaze is here, so middle.
Mid FMA. Careful the
Definitely.
cat eyes.
Yeah. The eyes are very annoying in this part because if the eyes are cast during this during the center FMA, they are going to keep bouncing on top of us and eating our HP. So usually you can dodge this pattern by going to the right or the left. The laser visuals are very misleading. Here come the rollings. Prepare to dodge. We go to the right, and then the spikes. I'm going to jump up and float. Now I dodge the whites.
Did we talk about the
And
invisible platforms on the left and the right?
I don't think so. So the whites, they are going to break. There is a special hitbox hidden here, where just on top of me, that when the white meteors they hit this hidden hitbox here, they break. So the left and the right corners are safe spots from the whites.
Left FMA.
Left FMA. So watch for the white HP bar. 07. During the real fight, the burst strategy for this phase is waiting for the FMA to end and then burst after the FMA. So you don't, it's easier to deal with the upcoming mechanics, and it guarantees that you don't have to go to the right or left corner to dodge the FMA. So since each cycle is 1 minute, parties tend to burst after 2 FMAs because it's going to complete the 3-minute cycle after the second FMA.
Spikes.
Spikes here. FMA in 10. Keep dodging the spikes. FMA left.
Left.
Right here. I'm blinded. The next whites, I'm going to show the safe spots, depending on where they start.
Okay.
Here are the gays, so we have the whites here. So I'm gonna go to the left corner and just stay here. And this last meteor is not going to hit me; it's going to break. Here, it broke just above me. So this is a safe spot because sometimes the whites can happen during the FMA, and if you are on the left or the right corner, you are safe touching the ball.
I think that's everyone's already out. Should we go ahead and retry? If you need to step out for bossing, I can take care of the second practice.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah. We can go again.
Yeah.
I will normally bite where someone's coming.
Yep, Meep's coming. So this time I'm going to show a different strategy, if that's okay. So what Andre did at the beginning in P1 is what's called basically insta-bind, origin bind, whatever you want to call it. You bind while both of the statues, knights, are there in the center, and then you guys just burst as you're standing there. The other option is stack binding. We usually do this because classes have skills. For example, like Buccaneer has Octo Punch that does damage to multiple bosses at the same time, and we want them to be relatively close together so that you can get basically the double that Andre was talking about. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to show the bind on my stream. If you can give me a second so I can stream. Stop watching Andre's stream. Maple Story. I'm going to change my OBS to show my Maple. Okay.
So everyone on the party turn off the summons.
Yes, this
and
one
familiars.
You do have to turn everything off. I should be the only person who has anything on. And instead of where we were before, everyone should be moving to the right. So follow Andre. He has the big city cape on. If you guys don't know where to go, you'll just all go right. And when you see the bind icon and or I say, I've bound it, or they're bound, something along that line, you come over to the left side and you burst. So while you're over on the right, you should be pressing your buffs. For example, your long Maple Warrior buffs, and then your 30-second buffs, and any sort of like quick buffs, maybe AB Link should be pressed when you're actually over in the spot where the knights are. Okay? If everyone is ready for another practice, please type R. Again, have your summons and fams off, please. I should be the only person with them on. Okay? I'm gonna go into practice mode in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, going. If you have teleport mastery, please be careful not to accidentally hit one of the knights. I should be the only person with aggro.
So let's go to the right.
Okay. So what I do
and then
here...
we can wait here.
Oh, 1 second. She's not cooperating. Okay, they are bound. They are regular bound. Come over. As you guys can see, I FMA'd at the beginning to try to aggro them together. Now I'm going to origin bind because they're stacked on top of each other. But essentially you want both of them relatively in the same position so that everyone can get their attacks off at the same time. A little botched, but no big deal. '07. So the first FMA will happen at 57 on the next minute. So not 58:57, but 57:57. Spikes?
Spikes?
Yes. Please call them out if you know the callouts. It's good habit for everyone to get into, by the way. Spikes are the big ones, because if we're blinded, we can't see.
Spikes.
Spikes. Yep. Great callouts. Ooh. Good workers.
White's on rolling soon.
Spikes.
Spikes.
Whites
Whites.
on the right. Rollings.
Rolling.
Oh.
Spikes. Watch for FMA pretty soon. 57. Right.
It's on the
FMA.
right.
Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 45.
45.
So for anyone who doesn't know, after the second flash of like lightning, he'll have a indicator position, and when the lightning actually does damage, after 4 seconds spikes, after 4 seconds of the second set of lightning, he will put up the white shield. So if you want to know exactly when the timer to start white shield is, you can just count 4 whites and spikes.
White spikes.
Rollings.
Rollings.
Remember to use your will skill if you need to get attacked by something, and just tank one of the curses. Spikes. Oof. FMA in 10 seconds. Spikes.
Spikes.
Left.
On the left.
Left FMA. Left FMA.
Ooh. Sage.
1, 2, 3, 4, 34.
So for 3-minute classes, this is when we are going to burst, because this is the second cycle from the
Please
first burst we did on P1.
Spikes.
So yeah, usually we would all coordinate in advance. We would
Rollings.
ask whites and rollings. We would ask what is the 3-minute timer for burst. The 3 minutes would respond, my burst is up, and this would be the cycle where we all attack preemptively by buffing when we have the FMA over here, and then like going into burst. But we don't have to really demo that right now.
Spikes.
Be a bit of overkill. Watch FMA soon, 10 seconds. Spikes.
Spikes.
Right.
It's on the
FMA.
right.
Right.
There are whites, be careful, walk these, or use your will skill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 21.
Spikes.
Spikes. Oh.
Rollings.
Rollings.
Spikes. As you guys can see, I'm using this left corner to dodge right now, because I know the rollings just passed. Usually I would never stand on that side. Oop. And okay. Spikes. Watch FMA soon, 5 seconds, less than. Left FMA,
Left.
left FMA. One, 2, 3, 4.
That eye away. Get
54.
that eye away, please. Oh, okay.
Spikes.
Spikes.
Rolling.
Rollings.
And
Rollings.
whites from the
Whites.
right. Use your will skill. Spikes. Use your will skills if you need to.
1, 2, 3.
And just a reminder, for anyone who
Spike.
is wondering what will skills
Spikes.
are, those are the two skills, the Will of Urda and Hero's Will. If you hit the button, you will not get any curses for 3 seconds. So you'll take the HP damage of whatever you get hit by, but you won't get hit by the curse.
Left.
Left FMA.
I
Careful.
hate those damn fucking lights.
1, 2, 3, 4, 58.
Is that again?
Pardon? Rollings.
Release.
Spikes.
Okay.
Whites. Spikes.
Spikes.
Spikes. Ooh, that was bad. Oh, right?
Left.
No?
No, it was left.
Oh, so sorry.
Oh.
My bad. That's on me.
Spikes.
Spikes.
Wait,
Whites.
rolling.
Rollings. Spikes. Oh shit, we survived 10 minutes. Sheesh. Mid FMA.
Mid. Oh, that's not good.
So if anyone has any sort of party healing and protective buffs, whatever have, feel free to use them in the center area. It's very useful for us. 34.
Remind me, what's the 34 that you're calling out?
I'm calling out
Next
the
FMA.
next FMA. So after every FMA, outside of the first one, which is 70 seconds, every FMA will happen 60 seconds after the white shield goes up. I check for when the white shield goes up after the FMA, and I call out that time to let us know when the next FMA will happen on the timer. So when I say like XX 30, that means 30 seconds on the next minute, the FMA will happen. Spikes.
FMA soon.
Right, FMA,
Right.
right. So after this, watch the shields. Whites, be careful. You can stand under the invisible platform and be safe. The white shield goes up at 23, so 48, 23 will be the next FMA. Oops, spikes. Man, rolling.
Oh.
You're out. Nice. Just doing a lot of passive damage. In most cases, most parties will be out of P2 relatively early. P1 and P2 are pretty much a breeze for most parties nowadays, so don't expect to spend too much time, but it's very good to learn the mechanics in that fight because a lot can happen in P2, especially if you don't have any sort of healing support in your parties. Yeah, that's it for P2, P1 and P2. If anyone wants any sort of additional practice, please let us know. Andre and I can always help you guys, or any of the juniors or ROMs. Or yeah, we can always
Yep.
coordinate some time.
Yeah, this fight needs a lot of practice, so don't be shy. Tell us you want to practice. We're gonna help.
All right. Did anyone want to add anything? Anything that Andre and I missed regarding BM? I think we talked about the binding methods. We talked about curses, summons. Some tips to remember. I was gonna tell everyone is the Hero's Will and Will of Herda. You will have both options available at your disposal, so be sure to use both. A lot of people forget to hit their will skill. So what happens is, just imagine you are pretty much black cursed at all times. You're gonna likely get hit by a chain, right? Because you saw a lot of chains happening. Just think that you're gonna be black cursed. If I get hit by a chain, I have the black curse on me, it's the purple looking curse. I hit my will skill before I hit, say, a white. I can actually just take the HP damage from getting hit by the white, which is 50%, and pass through it and not get a curse death. I just take the HP damage because I hit my will skill preemptively. You can use that strategy for any sort of other mechanics, including spikes if you're at full HP. You won't get the white curse from that, and you won't get hit by the chains, assuming that your like pet heals you all the way back to full after you get hit by the spikes. Don't rely on it. Same thing with rollings and whatnot, but if you have the sort of option to use it, use it. When I was first learning this fight, I would use will skill very sparingly. That's very dumb. Just hit it whenever you need to. We mentioned the little fake platform on the left and the right with the whites. And general piece of advice, but please be sure to use the right of his foot, especially in P2, as a reference point for where you should be standing. So Black Mage is somewhere in the middle of the area right here. Stand about right there, at the right of his foot, because you can use that position to easily go into the corner to dodge your other attacks, and or if there's a left FMA, hop all the way to the left to dodge. Yeah, that should conclude everything. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and we hope you guys can come for Thursday, because that's going to be a doozy. P3 and P4 are very, well, P3 is very tough. And P4 is very tough in XDM, so.
P4 is harder than P3, change my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming.